they're not going to stop. The people will gradually get more sick and more sick and more sick. Why do you think they are not letting people go near the hospitals? Because they're preparing, because the hospitals are going to be the concentration camps. That's what's going to happen. The hospitals are going to be the concentration camps. Everybody's going to get gradually more sick and more sick and more sick. The more vaccines, the more sick people will be because they don't have natural immunity. And the more viruses that will be created by each person within their body from the vaccine. And this will create new viruses, and the hospitals will be full. But there will be nobody to work in the hospitals because the hospital doctors and nurses all took the vaccine. So they're all going to be sick as well. And so, but problem, reaction, solution, we can have robots in the hospitals.
Yes.
Well, you can see where it's going. It's there won't be doctors and nurses because the vaccinated will get sick, the unvaccinated will not have a job, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and there will be nobody working in shops because you might transmit the virus if you're working in a shop. So they will have robots or more and more technology in the shops, and the people will be scared because you can talk to people, you can relate to people, you can communicate with people, but you can't communicate with you can't debate, agree, disagree with robots. It's not possible, and there's not going to be any artificial intelligence because people are different. Robots run on programs. People are biological and they have strange thoughts in their heads, which makes them unique and creative. Yeah. We have to. It's a question we have to ask. What world are we introducing our children to? Yeah, it's hard when the blind lead the blind, right? It's really very much like that, and I was there's a crazy British philosopher he's a nice guy with a lot of crazy ideas, and a lot of his ideas are very, very good and very correct. Some of them are a bit crazy, but that's good, right? You need somebody thinking about all the different possibilities of everything. The what ifs. You need people in society like that. And I was wondering, like where is he? Where is he right now? What is he doing? Because he's always got good ideas. He's always got solutions, and he has been very, very quiet for the last year. He always has peaceful solutions to things. Like, no, this should be done like this and not like that. And he's very, very thoughtful, and I respect his opinion a lot. And he's very, very brave because he always says what he thinks, and I think that's a sign of a good character of person. And I said to my friend, I said, he's been really quiet. Why is now is the time to do something or say something, and he's very quiet. Why is he so quiet? And my friend said, well, his perspective is that we can't improve our situation by fighting against it.
Mhm.
That will just give it more power. That he believes that we have to transcend. We have to get to another level of thinking
Mhm.
in order to find solutions to these problems. And it's really, and he's right as usual. 99% of the time he's right. As usual, he's right. He's right. It's when you protest against the government, you give the government more power. And what do? You protest on Monday, and then you go back to work on Tuesday,
Mhm.
and your protest is finished. It's the system feeds on people that way. And he said you have to transcend. You've got to somehow rise above that to another level of of existing.
Mhm.
And everything that is designed to keep things the way that it is. And the only way to improve everything is to live outside of everything that is happening. Not inside, but outside. Because we're all tired right now.
Mhm.
But we have to understand that's what they want. It's not an accident. It's a plan. As many people make the joke, it's not a pandemic, it's a plandemic. Every everything everywhere is the same to a certain extent. And here and
Mhm.
there things are a
Mhm.
little bit different. You see like a lot of the Scandinavian countries are making progress right now. It's like
Mhm.
they've stopped being stupid, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. Uh,
they've risen above the problem.
mhm.
They don't fear the problem anymore. They don't fear the problem anymore. And we have to get above the fear and beyond the fear because it's fear that stops us from saying what we think.
Mhm.
Oh my God, somebody might think I'm crazy. Well, they're not your friend. Okay,
Mhm.
that's not your friend, right? If you're worried that somebody thinks that you're crazy because you have an opinion, these people are not your friend because I can tell you, my friends, they have different ideas from me and it's okay,
Mhm.
right? That's what friendship is. That's part of what
Mhm.
being a friend is, um, or part of what respecting people is understanding that they can have different ideas. When you fear what people will think, they're not your friends. In that, and you know, a lot of people in the system are living in fear. Doctors are living in fear. Nurses are living in fear. Teachers are living in fear. Uh, Workers in companies are living in fear. Um, and you know, this fear gets passed to the children, unfortunately,
Mhm.
and it causes stress and makes them sick. The yeah, I learned last week a crazy statistic, and I'm telling everybody this statistic because it's just so incredibly crazy. The number one cause of death in children in Ireland, suicide.
Yeah.
It's the number one cause of death in children in Ireland, suicide. I imagine that it's teenagers. I mean, imagine it's
Teenagers.
from 12 to 18. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I I looked at the article. I didn't read it in depth. It just seemed that that it looked well written and rational. The perspective.
Horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, that is the world created by adults. The
Mm-hmm.
children are looking at the world created by adults, and the
Mm-hmm.
children are
Mm-hmm.
killing themselves because they don't want
Yeah, I understand. I agree with
to.
you.
That because that's what Christian perspective. That's what happens when you don't have God. Okay, that's what happens when you don't have the love of God at the center of your life. Because when life is not easy, you need the historical perspective of understanding that this is not the first time. Life was difficult for many people. Look what happened to Jesus. Okay?
Mm.
You know? Bad things happen to good people. um, and that you have to find solutions and you have to work on yourself and work on the problems. Not just look for escape or the exit door or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the children's fault. It's the adults' fault. And the adults don't want to take responsibility for it. Right? The adults are like, well, whatever.
Mm.
We'll just keep doing the same things. But that's not going to help at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what created the problem in the first place.
Yeah.
So, and that's just Ireland. What's happening in, say, American cities, or what's happening in European cities, or what's happening in Australia, for example,
Mm.
right now, where people can't go outside anywhere. Right?
Mm.
No, I'm sorry, you can't go outside to watch the sunset. You have to stay inside.
Mm.
Right? It's not a good sign for the children who are looking for uh, good examples,
Mm.
positive role models in culture, positive role models in sport, positive role models in art. Thinking is almost a crime, right? I mean, there's no introduction of children to philosophers. It doesn't even exist. There's no introduction of children to thinking. The philosophers and their ideas are not studied, not in any school that I know of anyway. Only if you go to university to study philosophy do you read the philosophers, some of them, and not even all of them. And yeah, the kids might get to Harry Potter maybe, which is sort of an introduction to good versus evil and everything therein, and that's a good start, right? That's a good start because Harry Potter is Christ basically. Look at the story. He's the Christ character. He has no mother and father that are present. Yeah. He is fighting almost alone with a small group of helpers, his disciples, against systematic evil. And he's a boy, like it's boy versus world, right? In that story, and there's a lot of fantastical, magical elements that you have to believe. It's a religion. You have to believe that magic is possible. You have to believe that the impossible is possible. Which is religious. And that's why it works, because it's a classical archetype mixed with growth and development and mystery. And it's got the mysterious wizards in it as well, and the other, it has good characters in it, but there's a lot that could be explored there, which is just not explored. I mean, there's a lot of dark stuff in there. There's a lot of dark things in Harry Potter that nobody ever talks about. Where do all these characters come from? What happened to them in the past? Why are they the way that they are? What is that nature of good and evil that is there? What is it that makes good triumph over evil in the story? Is it the same if we look at the real world? There's a lot there, and since those books are old now. What are those books, like 15, 20 years old now? They're old.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been anything for children since then.
We have 4 or 5 books about Harry Potter.
Yeah, there's one danger though in those kind of stories, which is that people believe that only magic can solve problems. And that's dangerous because we don't have magic. So belief and trust and faith, these are vital things in life. But unfortunately, we don't, as far as I know, we don't have magical powers. Although I read a government document yesterday which said something different, but that was a bit weird. I read it and I went, I don't even understand this. And I posted it on my Facebook and I said, can anybody understand this? And people were like, not really, no. Okay, so the world is big, that's for sure.